Right. Excuse my manners, guys. This is the first time I'm using Blab. I am. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I'm interviewing Audriea Josephs, book author of Forgiveness, The Journey to Healing the Heart. For those who don't know who I am, my name's Sereena Noor. I'm an empowerment coach and a spiritual teacher. I help people to remove blocks in terms of where the areas of life where they're trying to progress. But it's not about me today, yeah? Well, at least you know my name. So this is Audriea's book. I don't know if you can see it. The Journey to Forgiveness. We'll type it in the bar and we'll just kind of go straight in. Audriea is grew up in Handsworth and suffered from a lot of distress as a child, but somehow managed to turn that around. Now, I know some of us have got difficult stories and some of us haven't. However, with this difficult story, Audriea has been able to embrace it and literally gurgitate it out of her into, how many pages have you got, Dre?
Well, in that book there is
240 pages.
Well, 240 pages. 240 pages. Yeah, it's just got re-edited, redone, new font. So yeah.
Let me just get on with it then, yeah? Audriea, thank you so much for being on the show today, and thank you everybody else. First of all, Audriea, tell us when you launched the book and the title of the book and what the book's about.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for the invitation, Sereena. It's such an honor. I hope you can hear me as well, guys, because I'm just getting over flu. So hope you can hear me clearly. Please let me know if you can't. Right. I launched the book about 2-3 weeks ago, somewhere thereabouts. But I actually wrote it and completed it in December. I wrote the book in 7 weeks, which was shocking to me and still is now. As Sereena said, regurgitated it. Yeah, my whole a certain amount of my life experience. Yeah, I just basically put it on paper.
Yeah. Okay. Now, today I'm going to ask Audriea a few questions. Anyone want to ask any questions? Type it in the message bar at the side. So if she says something that you would like her to elaborate on or whatever, then you're more than welcome to type that in and we'll read it out. I'll read it out to Audriea, or Audriea will read it and then she'll answer your questions. So my first question to Audriea is, I've got my little list here, so excuse me, people. In the book, you talked about basically you learned to basically say, like, reject your opportunities and reject the good things that were coming to you. How did you turn that around, Audriea? Because for me, that's a point in people's lives where they make a decision to continue to say no to their desired reality, or they decide to say yes. How did you change that cognition? How did that happen for you?
Okay. Like you addressed before, I'm a local. I grew up in Handsworth. Now, I came out of a lot of brokenness, and yes, I was a battered child for about 10 years. It started when I was about 5-6 years old, and because of it, I grew up in a family where we had different fathers, same mother, but different fathers. And in my family structure, it seemed like I had younger brother and sister, and they were for the same father, so they were basically like twins. And then I had a set of twin brother and sister that came from Jamaica. So I was always excluded. So there was a time when I felt worthless, ugly, and going to school not smart.
Okay.
And learn. I'm left-handed as well. So
whilst me too.
You're right. Well, if you were born in my time, what happened was they constantly tried to put my pen and pencils in this hand, in my right hand. And that was a great source of frustration for me. And what happened was they tried it so much that I ended up just stopping trying to learn, because I could feel my strength in my left hand in writing, but every time I tried it that way, they swapped it round, and that was my weaker hand. So I got to the stage where I said, as a little girl, I was about 6, and I said, I'm giving up. And what happened was that translated into a lot of areas of my life where I recognized the fact that if I couldn't achieve something instantly, I had the skill from there to just stop. So I didn't try.
Okay.
Now, you're curious to know, how did I get over that?
Yes.
That's a tricky one, but the long and short of it was I had to love me first and foremost. I had to recognize myself as someone of value. Now, that didn't happen overnight. That journey has taken me roughly almost 50 years. And it was about me accepting myself just as I am and recognizing that there was nothing wrong with me. I was perfectly fine just the way I am. It was other people's perceptions, and that's what I bought into.
Okay. Now, thank you, Audriea. So basically, the reason why I asked that question is because for me personally, I believe that the most important things that happen in our lives happen between the age, or influential things, shall I say, happen between the age of 1 and 9. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that goes for the bad and the good. So in terms of that happening, that would have imprinted and affected your future.
Yeah.
So obviously it did affect your future, and in the future you were still able to recognize it and transform it and understand where the root was coming from. And that's just what I wanted to highlight there by asking that question. Sandy has asked, how did AJ manage the book in just 3 months? How did you manage to write the book in just 3 months? Because I have heard people who take like 1 whole year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, to write a book, and you bashed it out in 3 months. Let's hear about that. I want to hear about that.
You know what? I've been talking about it for over 20 years. I've been actually saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But it was all about talk, really. You know, you just have conversation with your friends and you say, you know what, I might write a book one day. I'm saying to my husband and my family, I'm going to write a book one day. I might write a book. And what happened was, it was obviously inside of me, yeah? But in last year, July, I was at home watching TV in the day, just happened to be at home. And there was a program that came on, and I saw 4 beautiful, beautiful women on this program, and they were all authors. And the lady was saying at the time, we're going to be doing a book tour. And we're going to go to Manchester, we're going to Liverpool, we're going to Birmingham. And when I heard Birmingham, I was like, wow, okay, Birmingham. Interesting. So I wrote the date down on my calendar. And what happened was I went to the drum to find out, got to the drum, asked the young lady on reception. She said she didn't know who I was speaking about. I was like, this is weird, you know, because I saw it on TV. So she looked through the whole list, couldn't find it. I thought, okay, leave it as it is. I think a week later, strangely enough, you sent me through Facebook the advertisement with the same women. Okay. And then,
I remember. That synchronicity, that is Holy Spirit pushing it in your face there.
Exactly, it was meant to be. Anyway, and then someone else put it in the Facebook group. So I was like, whoa, these women are actually coming. Okay, and it was a free event. It wasn't that long. So I thought, yeah, I'll pop down, went to the drum. Well, actually got on the bus, weirdly enough. Coming from the city centre, I was a bit late for the event. I looked at the clock, 10 to 2, started at 2 o'clock. Bit frustrated with myself. Get on the bus. There's some women there asking for change, and I'm thinking, these ladies from out of town, so they're obviously going to the same place. In my spirit, I'm saying they're going to the same place as me. We get to Newtown. I step aside and I say to these ladies, oh, are you looking for the drum? I'm going to this event. And we start walking down and saying, yeah. I said, I'll direct you. And the smaller lady of the two turned around, stretched a hand out to me and said, my name's Ava Brown. I'm the organizer. I was like, wow. Oh. So I met her. Debbie Martin Garcia, before I actually got in the building, which was definitely synchronicity. So we get in the building now. I see the same receptionist and I say to her, do you remember me? I came down here about 2 weeks ago. I was asking about the authors. She said, yeah. I said, well, these are two of the authors. And she said, well, I'm really sorry, but the paperwork was upstairs and they hadn't brought it downstairs yet. So I was like, wow. We get in anywhere. Beautiful event, you know, spoke to the ladies. Eva's asking me if I'm a writer. I'm saying, I've got a story inside of me. And she's like, well, it's no good inside of you. You need to get it out. So we have a conversation a few weeks later. And she challenges me to write 500 words. And this was on the Wednesday. She challenged me to write it by the Friday. And my excuse to her was, my laptop's not working, so I'm not able to do that. She said to me in turn, I have clients who write on their telephone. So do it on your telephone and email it to yourself. She wasn't taking any of my rubbish, you know. And I guess it was me trying to self-sabotage myself. And
definitely.
Yeah, and what happened was that very evening on the Wednesday, I decided to go into myself, find some stillness and say, what am I going to write about? And my inner spirit said, start with yourself. And I just started skirting about with some ideas and like, okay, I was born this and my family is that, and let's try this for size. And I started writing on the telephone, and before I realized it, 24 hours before she wanted it, I counted on my phone because my phone doesn't have a spell count. I counted, I thought I had 500 words. So I sent it in to her and she said I had 642 words, 24 hours early, and that what I had written made her cry. I was like, whoa. I thought, I've got something, maybe I have a voice, because I've never ever considered myself a writer. I'm not a literary person. I love reading. Reading is my passion. I love reading. I love reading empowerment books and things like that, but I've never really thought of myself in being able to do dissertations, English, this, that, spelling, all of that. So I never had the confidence in myself, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a go. And I sat in front of my laptop and started typing. And before I realized it, I had 5,000 words. And I kept going and it turned into 10,000 words. Sorry?
Was this on the Wednesday? Was this on the Wednesday?
No.
Within 24 hours, sorry.
The 24 hours was the 500 words. But then after, she said to me, just write. So I just sat down in front of my laptop and started writing. And before I realized it, I'd written 5,000 words, 10,000 words. I was like, wow. You know.
So how did the did you get to manage all your other commitments with getting that out of you? How did you do that? How did you manage writing and everyday life and work?
I actually recognized the fact. You've heard people say you're in the zone. Okay. There was, it just somehow that time was allocated. Okay, I'll say this. There was a time when my husband, I didn't cook them. He didn't get any dinner. He had to fend for himself.
Oh, he got on with it.
He had to fend for himself. He really did. But I had to do this. It became almost like a passion. I just kept going and going, and to be honest,
that was your drive.
Yeah, but as you know, we don't tend to keep diaries. Well, I didn't keep diaries and journals until a few years ago. So every single thing I wrote was from memory. And for me, it felt like, if I say this, please take in the spirit that I've said it, but it felt like someone had come next to me,
so how
with all these words to me for me to remember in my ear.
Okay, hold on, Dre. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of your work, like you look after Lorna and your clients and things like that, how did you manage that? Your work.
I was still able to do that. I was still able to do most things that I needed to do. To be quite honest as well, which was fortunate for me. I didn't have this, I'd be typing, it'd be 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd get up in the morning, start, and then going through to the next day. I didn't have that. There were times when I started typing, maybe I'd do 3-4 hours, and that would be sufficient. But somehow those 3-4 hours really, you know,
lots out.
Yeah, but I wasn't sort of burning the candle at both ends, and I was really surprised. I mean, that only happened at the very, very, very end. But initially, no, I was sort of typing about 3-4 hours, maybe on the weekend, 5-6 hours. But that was it really. But I still was able to honor the commitment, because as you know, I do look after a special needs lady, and I was still able to do that. I mean, there were the odd few times when we didn't go to the gym and I would give her crafts, so we'd do crafts instead, and I'd do a bit of typing while I was doing crafts with her as well. So it was sort of multitasking, yeah.
Okay, so in the book, it's kind of like ugly as well in the same time, you know, the book Ugly.
Yeah, well, this is what I've not read the book myself.
Yeah, because I have got halfway through and I've read the major bits to be able to relate to what we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you learn to love yourself again? Because there's a point where you talk about your hair and how your hair wasn't as nice as the other children's hair, and mom really didn't like that, and you used to get teased about it on a regular basis and things like that. So those things would have bogged you down. Also, where you were treated differently to the rest of your siblings. Yeah. How do you learn to love yourself? That's a question from Andrea. How did you learn to love yourself? Is there any chance you could give us some clarity on that?
Yeah, it was a lifetime of work. It has been a lifetime of work. I did. I felt like the ugliest girl around, you know, the ugly duckling. It was difficult, especially when you're growing up being a teenager and you're thinking everyone else is better than you, everyone else has got better clothes than you, girls have got the long hair, and you know, growing up, it caused me to lack confidence, but I didn't portray that in the world. I had it inside, but no one saw that on the outside. I was pretending to be a tougher person than what I was feeling on the inside. And with the work, I think I started in 1993 when I went to university to become a counsellor, because I recognized the fact that I needed a counsellor. So I went and became what I wanted. Went to university to train to become my own counsellor. And
because it's funny, you know, to say that, because a lot of the time, I actually said this to a client of mine today, a lot of the times we actually, our passion and our work is what's going on inside of us, more so than what we're actually supposed to be doing as passion and work. We're actually trying to not face the work that we're supposed to do inside. So we project it and do it outwardly. Not saying that you're not meant to be a counsellor and you're an absolute fantastic coach. However, at the time, you needed counselling. It wasn't that you needed to be a counsellor. Does that make sense?
I
see that a lot in my work as well, where I'm thinking, there's a bit of work that you need to do here. You know, let's bring that inwardly so we can bring it outwardly, more so from a divine space or a pure space or a real space, so you can attract the right clients, etc., etc. So how did you learn to love yourself after all of that? Did you do the course? And then sometimes counselling courses, actually, they're aimed at you looking at self, not necessarily even at your client. Was that a part of the healing process, doing that course?
I got to admit that for all the awful stuff that happened, what happened was I recognized the fact that there were women who were not my blood relation that loved me. And so there was always that spark of love inside of me. And because of that, I believe those women carried me and helped me and nurtured me, and still continue. Those that are still alive now, that these women, I really honor them, because they showed me the love that I wasn't getting at home. So they made me know I am lovable. And what shined more was I'm not their family. I'm not any kind of blood relationship to them. So that was a spark that helped me, that kept me connected to, I don't know what it kept me connected to, don't get me wrong, but I know it was inner work.
Okay. And that's what kept you loving self.
Now, in hindsight, yes. Then I didn't recognize that. So I'll be quite honest with you. I got to be honest, I would say that self-love came to me as about 5 years ago, if not less than 5 years ago. What it was, yes.
You was carried
after everything, After everything, you know, people think, well, yeah, you got married, you must have felt beautiful or something because somebody found you beautiful, you got children. No, just going through the motions, you know, but still not feeling beautiful. It was when I started loving me, actually looking at myself and loving all of this, what I could see.
Okay, so we've got a question from Natural Royalty. That's Marlika. She says, Audriea, how does it feel to know that you are now inspiring others using the pains of the past?
Repeat that, Sereena. You're breaking up slightly.
Okay, how does it feel to know that you are now inspiring others using the pains of the past?
It feels amazing. It feels absolutely amazing to be in my skin now. It feels amazing because all of this has made me recognize that I didn't go through those painful things. I didn't go through that journey in vain, because I've always been a person that wanted to turn any negative situation into a positive, whether I knew how to do that or not. And bringing this through now and feeling the way I do. And the best thing about all of this is that when I started loving myself, the hair came. Everything came. I mean, for me, I've never had long hair. If you've read the book, you'll understand. I was the picky head, dry head girl. You know what I mean? I was the joke. And the moment when I started loving myself more, recognizing the beauty within, inside out, because that was the problem. I was looking at beauty from the outside in. And that was my greatest hindrance. I was looking at it, thinking it's working from the outside in, not recognizing that beauty comes from inside out. And that was one of the powerful things that I learned about myself. Beauty is within, it's in.
You know, that's something that what you just said there is key for bringing up our children as well. I've had to get my children to literally look at, compare themselves from an inner space more so than an outer space. And that really resonated with me then. I love that, what you just said. I'm not sure if you can hear me, Audrey. You've actually gone from the screen.
I can.
Okay, poor signal. Andrea's asked the question, were you in love when you got married?
Not with myself.
I know that, Audrey. Okay.
Not with myself. I loved my children's father. I met him when I was 16, and he was the first male that made me feel special. So not having a great relationship with my father, you know, they usually say that a relationship with your father sets up every other male relationship that you're going to have. And not having a great relationship with your father, so I couldn't really relate to males as such. And he was a genuinely nice person. He really was. And he showed me attention, you know. But was I in love with me? I wasn't in love with me. And no one could tell me that I was beautiful or any such thing, because I would just think, especially if guys said that to me when I was younger, I'd just think, yeah, you just want to get inside my pants, basically. You know, really, it was just about sex in my head while you're saying that. It wasn't really real to me, you know, but I found it was inside out. But yeah, I loved my husband, but not myself. And I don't know, because that's weird, because I recognize now that you can't give what you don't have. So I don't even know how I could say that I loved my husband. I had great affection for him. And respect, you know, but as in for self-love, no, not at all.
Okay. So anyone else got any more questions? Don't be shy. I know there's loads of thoughts flying up in your head while she's talking. I know that most of you ladies on this call actually have your own stories to tell. Oh, yeah. Whether you realize it or not, you do. And I know deep down, you know that you have your stories to tell. And that's why you're on this call today, because you know that there's a woman who you can relate with. You can see that there's a lady who comes from the same walk of life as you, and you relate to her fully, and you want to see yourself in her so that you feel motivated to regurgitate your story out. I mean, when we look at Audriea, we see that she's actually made the ugly, so to speak, or what we hide, beautiful and inspirational. She's actually saving lives. Do you have, can you tell us a feedback, give us a little testimony of the feedback of the book and how it's affected others' lives?
Yeah, the feedback has been amazing. I had one young woman contacted me, and after reading the book, she said that knowing that her aunt had a difficult life, and it made her reach out and contacted her aunt because she wanted to embrace her after reading my book. And that really touched me. I've been touched by people thinking that I'm brave for writing it, or brave for going through what I went through. Now, my answer to the brave talk is that I don't consider myself brave. I went through something that I had no choice. It was my life and I couldn't do anything about it. I just consider that I'm so blessed to have survived it. That's what I really recognize. And in writing the book, it caused me to go back in to the past and to really look at all of my blessings and how I really was protected and saved from so many things. I've seen people have one head injury and they died, and I got 2, and I'm still here, and broken this and all kind of different things, and I'm still here, and I recognize my blessings more than I recognized when I was going through it. So I consider that I'm really blessed, and it's given me more gratitude just looking back in the past.
Okay.
So
in terms of
someone's asking, so you have the book now, what's next? Question. Okay. What's next? Well, I love coaching and I love speaking, and the funny thing about it is, when I was growing up, it was you chat too much. Yep, right? But what I found is that the thing that I was being cussed down about and that I felt very conscious about and wanted to be different and tried to dumb myself down, that's the very thing that's my blessing, the gift of speaking, so I love touching people's lives, and I recognize that I've been doing it for a lot longer than I even realized. Even people who have read the book have said, well, you've always this kind of person, and they're referring to me when I was in my 20s. So, I'm also a fine artist, and I want to actually get to the space where we had this conversation some time ago, Sereena, where I can paint my black angels and
yes,
pronounce them on the one to do. And the thing is, I'm only just finding my passion now. So I ain't even going to hold myself back. I'm just getting in there.
wicked. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say, Audriea?
I want to say that everybody, sisters, if there are any brothers here, believe in yourself. You can do it. I'm the one who was the joke. I was unable, in my mind, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, I couldn't do the other. And I held myself down by saying I couldn't do this, that, and the other. But believe in yourself. If I can do it, you can do it. We don't have to measure ourselves against each other. We just have to believe in ourselves. And I feel really, really fortunate that in my book, if you read it, it'll say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I feel that I was so ready that so many people came to support this. And it's put me in a really good space. It's put me in a space where I've found peace in stripping myself naked, in opening myself to the world and saying, this is what's happened to me. Because there are a lot of people who have known me for a really, really long time and had no idea that that was my experience, that's what I'd gone through, because that's not something that I actually sit down so much and have a conversation about. And so people have looked at me and seen and said, well, you're so strong and you're so this. And so actually reading the story was a bit shocking for them, you know, to know that I actually experienced that kind of life. Now someone's asking me, I've got a story to tell. In my book, I know some of my family. Yeah, now it's about the family thing. Okay, I'll address the family thing.
Let me just read it out so everybody knows what I'm saying. I've got a
You okay, Sereena? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you very clearly.
Oh gosh. Can you hear me now?
Slightly, it's got some sort of feedback. But what I'll answer is the family thing, writing about family, because I know that's usually the thing that holds people back as well, because you don't want to talk about this one, you don't want to talk about that one, you don't want to bring this one in the story, you want to tell your story, but you're thinking how people are going to receive it. For me, this is my story, and a lot of people happen to be actors in the play on the stage of my life. And I wasn't necessarily writing about them, I was writing about myself, but because they're part of it, I wrote about them. Now, some of my family were not comfortable about it. But it was my story, and to be quite honest, I feel comfortable in that. I'm comfortable in what I've put out there. And the thing about it all is that I didn't know it at the time, but as a little girl, I told them all anyway, basically, that, you know, that this is something that I'm going to do. I didn't necessarily say I was going to write a book, but I did say that one day I'm going to become somebody. One day you are all going to see me, and one day you're not going to see me the way you see me. So I don't know if you want to call that a prophecy, whatever was going on. But, you know, you just have to be true to yourself and do what brings you joy. Because if I thought about what everybody would say, I wouldn't have written this book. And I know that this book will do a great healing. So I couldn't let anything stop that. And had no intentions of letting anything stop that. And to be quite honest, I think it was last week, someone said to me, Audriea, how do you feel? And I'm saying, as the song said, James Brown said, I feel good. I feel good. You know, I ain't scared of any comebacks, whatever. Because if you read my book, I've had to be tough. So any comebacks ain't going to mean anything, because at the end of the day, nobody can hold me down and beat me. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, too many people around to corroborate all of the stories. So I'm asking a
question. Did writing the book get it out of your system and help you to heal? Did it help as a part of the healing? Like people say that once you kind of express it in some way, it will help you with the healing process or actually heal you of that situation. Did that do that for you?
I couldn't hear you very clearly, Sereena, unfortunately. So sorry. You've got some sort of feedback happening. So it's
I don't know what's
you might have to type it in.
On this wonderful site, actually. But, okay, so if you can hear me now, she's asking you. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Or does it still sound robotic? No, it's fine now. Okay, so did writing the book get it out of your system, get the pain out of your system? Did it actually help you?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Writing the book was like therapy for me. I'd forgotten some of the stuff that I'd gone through, and writing the book brought me way back, and some of it really did get to me. Don't get me wrong, some of it really did get to me, but actually it made me feel proud as a survivor. It really made me feel proud of myself. When I look back at that little girl, I am so proud of her to come through to become me of today. I'm proud of Audrey of yesterday, that I'm stepping into Audriea today. I'm so proud of her because through all that I've been through, it was just that person that I had. That's all I had. I didn't have anyone else. And I am so proud of Audrey. And I love the fact that my mouth is big enough today that I can speak on behalf of her. You know, it might sound a bit weird that I'm split myself into this Audrey as a little girl and Audriea as a grown woman, but for me it works.
No.
For me it works.
I mean, in terms of our ego, so to speak, you know, we have our childlike ego, we have our parent ego, and our adult ego.
Yeah.
And for me personally, and what I teach my clients, it's about fluctuating through those three situations and knowing when to be the adult for the child ego and be the parent for the child ego, and you know when to just embrace your inner child and things like that. So it kind of fluctuates. So I wouldn't say that you have a level of schizophrenia or anything like that. You know, in terms of psychology, that is the right thing to do. You know, and once we embrace that, the equilibrium would just be, it would just be smooth sailing. You're actually managing your resting state between your stress levels and your pure space or your pure being by looking at it in that way and embracing that. Sandy said, here, well done, sister. You should be very proud of yourself. Andrew's asking, do you feel that you have missed out on a happy childhood?
You know what, Sandy? Ladies, our journeys are our journeys. And I'm recognizing the fact, the more I live and the more I learn, is this one thing I've come to the conclusion is that I made a soul agreement before I came to the planet to come into this body, to be this person, to experience the pureness of forgiveness. This is what I've recognized in my spirit. So I don't necessarily know about reincarnation, but I'd like to think that if there was a cycle and emotion keep going on or whatever and then coming back, that maybe I have had a happy childhood in the past, and so I chose to come this time through this space to experience this lesson, to share this kind of love with the world in its purest form, because I've found that I used to sing the blues about my childhood. Why didn't I have a daddy that loved me? Why didn't I have a mommy that loved me? You know, I was really singing the blues. You know, why didn't I get brothers and sisters that loved me? But what happened was I did get some of that, not necessarily the parent. Okay, the mother that gave birth to me and the father, all of that stuff, I didn't get that, but I found other people who loved me genuinely, and not because they had to, because they were my parent, but because they chose to. And I think that's an honor. My first wedding, I had 3 women who were all standing there saying that they were my mother. I mean, how many people get that kind of opportunity to have 3 beautiful spirits that love you and care for you, and they want to be standing in the space of your mother? For me, that's amazing, you know. So, you know what? Yeah, I used to sing the blues about my childhood, but no, not anymore. I'm so past that now. I'm so detached from that I recognize that I'm in a good place, and forgiveness has caused me to be powerful. And without, if I'd had a great childhood, I wouldn't have been able to write this book. It wouldn't be this book. It wouldn't be forgiveness. So,
oh my God, you guys, listen, the time's going on. There's some amazing questions here. Everyone just getting into it. I don't mind continuing. So if you don't, whoever don't mind continuing, let me know. But what we'll do is go on to the red light, green light, amber light, and then if there's any questions that anyone wants to ask Audriea afterwards, because there are people on the call who are expecting it to finish in like 6 minutes.
Okay. So I can hit
first, and then if
I can do the red light.
Audriea wants to stay on. Okay, so go ahead, man.
Okay, so yeah, in my open workshops, I do this forgiveness thing, and what it is, ladies, some of you may have done it before, but it doesn't matter how often you've done it. What's amazing about this is that you'll always recognize where you're at. And what I'd like to ask you is, if you got a piece of paper, if you can grab a piece of paper, pencil, pen, just
on your computer.
If you can grab that.
I've got my phone.
I'm just gonna ask.
Yeah, I got my phone.
Get some water. I'll be back with you just in a second.
Okay, man.
Very important to keep hydrated. Anyway,
I'd just like to apologize to all of you for the glitches, and Audriea, when you're talking and I'm talking because I'm thinking that you stopped talking, and so, but thank you everybody anyway. Carry on. Sorry.
So what it's called is, it's a traffic light thing, and that's what I'm saying with this forgiveness. This is something that was downloaded in my spirit. Now, what I'd like to ask you is if you can list 5 people who, if someone came up to you and said their name, it would really cause your blood to boil, or it would agitate you, irritate you. And I'd like you to write those 5 names down. If you've got 5 names, if you don't, that's fine. It's an exercise.
5 people.
You can carry on with after as well. 5, 3, 5.
5 people. 5 people
who, if someone came up and said, say for example, let's use a name like Pat or May. Okay, May.
My baby father.
Someone said May. Okay, for me, someone said May, and I know that I've got a May that I really can't stand. Or don't even call a girl then I'm around me. That kind of one, right? You know what I mean? If you've got something going on like that, write these names down, because we can at least start a little process.
Okay.
Right? So it could be your family, it could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be an ex-partner, you know. But if someone says these names to you, you know, because none of us are sitting in perfection. We're work in progress. I accept the fact that I am not the finished article, right? And I still have somebody on my list like that. You know what I mean? That I'm still working on. I'm a work in progress. We are multifaceted. We have many layers to us. And so if we start to shake it up and get rid of some of that stuff that's been sitting on the bottom for a long time, and we just shake it up, shake that sediment up, we can see what rises.
Listen to this. Sandy has said that she doesn't have anyone that makes her blood boil, and I don't associate with anyone. I can only think of one, my ex. Hello, Sandy. Are you going to say you ain't got nobody? You got one. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. That's fantastic. I'm telling you, it takes much work to get to that place. So congratulations, my sister. Congratulations. Congratulations. You know, there's also, you know, maybe please let me know, ladies, if you've got your 5 or 3 or whatever you've got on your list.
Has everyone got their 5? I've got. My leader says she's got 5. God, Molly. Alicia, what about you, honey? What about you, Leash? How many have you got? And anyone else on the call, let's just join in and have some fun. Mute the wickedness, old time life, lag time. I love it, Sandy. I love it. Oh, she can't type in. Okay, then. Okay.
Right. Well, you know what? What I'm going to say to you is, okay, got my little book. So let's go here. Now, the name of these people. So, Sandy, you've only got one. Cool. You've only got one little thing to do. But
well, if you've got 5, I've got 2.
2? Okay, cool. Now, what I want you to do is score each. Now, we're going from 1 to 5. And 1 is, it's an honor. It's cool. You can cope with them. You can cope with being in the same room as them. You maybe can even converse with this person. You know, between 1 and 2, you're going up. If you really, really, you know what I mean? So you're going up. You're going to say the next level is, this person is irritating. But you can talk to them, but you still have a tense, sick feeling if you speak to them or if they're in your space. The next one, when you're going up to 4, 5, now that's when you see red. Someone mentions this person and you see red, or it just causes you to short circuit or costs. Like,
I've noticed that I can't spend time with Yala's dad because she yay, Leisha can type now. Leash, how many people blow you blood? and you're gonna score them, babes.
Right.
Oh, Sandy said that he scores 1 to 2. Her ex.
Cool.
Her ex.
So she's basically in the green to amber zone. It's more green. It's more the green, and the place where we're aiming to get to is completely the green off that. But you're still in an ambery green stage, so it's still work that you need to do, right? It's not that. Listen, at the end of the day, the first forgiveness that we have to deal with is self-forgiveness. Yeah. That's the first forgiveness that we deal with. Yeah. Our forgiveness of ourselves, but we're still dealing with others as well. Yeah. And sometimes the other people, the things that we can't forgive, are very reflective of the things that's inside of us. The thing that we don't like, sometimes what we see outside of ourselves is something that's inside of us. But I'll move from that. So Sandy, you're in the green amber zone, which is something to still work.
She says, I don't business about dodgy people enough. I care not. They are not non-factors. I love my women.
So now we're going into the 3s and 4s. People with your 3s and 4s.
I got 15 from my daughter's dad. Hello. 3s and 4s. I'm off the Rick scale, I am.
Sereena, you've come down since the last time we did this. So it's showing progression.
Okay. Oh my God. That's good.
Listen, there was a time when I did this list and it was my whole family and everybody was in the red zone. You understand? Everybody was in the red zone. Everybody. You know what I mean? But listen, if you actually are finding that you have got somebody in the 4s and 5s, this is the work that you need to, this is where you need to be starting. You need to be looking at how, for example, how can you change your point of view? How you see this person? How can you see this person differently? Now, on my one-to-one forgiveness coaching, my key thing is, usually I love letter writing. And first thing I like to see this person not as an adult, but as a child. Okay. Because It's easy to forgive a child. It's easier to forgive a child. In order for me to forgive my mother, I had to see her as a little girl. When I saw my mom as a little girl, I was able to forgive her easier, because then I recognized that she wasn't born big. She actually had a starting point. Because people don't just become the way they are just overnight. Experiences shape and mold people. And sometimes the thing that irritates us about a person is the thing we need to be working on in ourselves. And for me, I had to recognize that actually these people are doing me a favor, because they're actually the sandpaper, Sereena, smoothing you down. You understand? The sandpaper or the chisel that is changing the rough diamond into the top quality diamond. So someone comes along and they're chiseling you, and you're feeling the pain of this. But what we're not recognizing is that we've been shaped and molded. We've been brought to a higher state. But actually, when we're looking at these people and saying they piss you off, irritate you, I mean, I want to see them, I don't want them in my space, we don't realize that we're actually turning away from what is bringing us up to the next level, what is shaping and molding us. And if we do have someone in our life that is so frustrating and irritating, I personally, what I do is I write a letter. I am angry with you because of this, but I forgive you. And when I've written these kind of letters, I've burnt them, just sent them to the ethers. And I've found that the people who irritated me the most, they don't bother me anymore. And the best thing, and that's not just talk, because I've got this internal radar inside of me, you know, like when you someone hooks you up to a hospital monitor, your heart monitor, and you've got this bleep, 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 bleep. Well, I've got this thing inside of me now. So I go in that level space and I feel and seek out, how do I feel about people? How do I feel about this person? And actually, people are not even on the radar anymore. People are just so not on the radar anymore, because I've recognized that they're my teachers.
I've seen what Sandy wrote. She says, if you forgive someone, do you think that they should also forget? That you should also forget. So if you forgive them, do you think you should also forget what they did?
You know what? You know what? For me, this is one thing that I recognize, you know, Sandy, is that sometimes when we want to take the moral high ground, we say stuff like, I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. And that statement to me tells me that you haven't forgiven because you want to hold on to it. Not you, Sandy, so please don't get me wrong. But that statement shows me that when someone says that, they still want to hold on to it, because it's announced before, I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. Now, forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about your own inner peace. It's about your own inner joy. And my book's called Forgiveness, yeah? And I've written all this stuff. So clearly I haven't forgotten it, but I've forgiven it. But the thing is that I'm not holding it up as a beating stick. I'm not using it to, even though I've written this book, I've not used it as a tool to beat my mother. I haven't used it as a tool to beat anyone. I've said what I've got to say, but I'm not beating anyone up with it. So you can't forget, we haven't got amnesia. You know, we still have our memories, but it's how you choose to remember. It's what kind of power you're putting into remembering.
Okay. You know. Right. Andrea has said that she thinks if you don't forget, then you haven't forgiven them. And then Sandy's saying, but how can you forget something out of your memory? I'd just like to explain that in terms of spirituality and karma. Now, there's different sections and layers to our memory. So you've got your brain memory, you've got your muscle memory, and you've got your bio memory. Now, your bio memory is like your DNA. And what we do is when things happen to us, we push them into places so that we can forget them. Then what happens? Something happens that reminds us of that situation. So we think we've forgot. However, when something happens, I repeat, that reminds us of the situation, it pulls it up. Then subconsciously we suppress it again. Then we can become ill.
Mm-hmm.
It can show up in our body. I mean, sometimes when people are a bit stressed, they come out with spots, or they start to lose the hair, or things start happening because the issue is pushing out of their system. And rather than them allowing the memory to surface so that they can now do the relevant healing on that situation, they suppress it. So it's not that you forget, it's more to do with the fact that you suppress. And it's not to do with the fact that you're supposed to not remember or remember. It's more so about allowing those situations to rise in order for you to take responsibility to make sure that that doesn't affect what you're trying to cause as your desired reality. I hope that makes sense.
And it's also how you choose to remember, because if you're choosing to remember and attaching pain to it, there's no way you're gonna, it's not that you forget things, because like I say, we live with ourselves, we live with the memories, right, of things that have happened. But for me, I chose not to live in that place of pain. I, in as much as, you know, like you read a book and you may have read the book 10 years ago. It's not that you've forgotten the book. You read it 10 years ago. But as soon as you read the book, you may remember, oh yeah, I remember this and I remember that. But it's not a daily thought. It's not a constant thought. So for me, I found the power in moving forward and not attaching certain things to certain memories. Because that's where I consider that it's a powerful place to be, is actually not to erase the memories, but to just move beyond them.
So, Audriea,
Yes.
one more question, and then if you could tell us about your where we can purchase your book, how much it costs.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just scroll back up in the news feed so I can find the last couple of questions. Would you say that what you went through as a child was needed to get you to the point of bliss right now?
That's a great question. It's a good question. I have no idea. What I know is that that's what's got me to here now. So
Would you say that you feel blissful?
Sorry?
Say that you feel blissful right now.
I feel
blissful.
Blissful. I sure do. I'm in a good place. I'm in a good place. I'm in a good place. I'm in a place I've never been before. I feel joy unlimited. And it's because I'm living in my truth. I'm living in my truth, and I don't have anything to hide. I'm being transparent. And you know what? It's a good place to be. It's a really good place to be. I'm really in a happy place. I really am. And I've never, ever been in this place before. Ever. And I'm 55 this year, June. And I've had happy moments. Don't get me wrong. My children have brought me great joy, you know, having them. But I'm recognizing that there's more levels and depth to joy. and I'm enjoying it on a daily basis. It opens up like a flower. So I'm feeling good. I've just seen a message. I feel forgiveness is about me, not the other person. By forgiving, I'm not saying that what they did was not acceptable. I'm just saying I am no longer holding the energy. So true. So true.
That
It's
just sent
about,
shivers down. It was just beautiful, that
it's
was.
about, really, it's so much about making a choice to let go. You can't do any of this without choosing to. It's not just going to happen. It's not just going to walk in and knock on your door and say, you know, here I am. This is forgiveness. It's not about that. The work, I know, is an amalgamation of so many people, so many things I've read, so many things I've done. I mean, while I was going through the work, there were times when I felt like I didn't understand it or I wasn't connecting to it. But what I've come to recognize now is that when you sow seeds, they don't germinate overnight. Seeds take time to grow, and it was in the dark place. As you know, we sow a seed in the ground, and that's a dark place. And I didn't realize that was where I was being nurtured and being given my nourishment and sustenance, and that's where all the roots was going down, and that's where I was being anchored. I just felt I was in a dark place. I recognized that that was actually what was feeding me and developing me. And so now that I feel like I've moved up into the light, so to speak, I feel the benefits of what the dark did for me.
So in the last 1 minute, any chance you could tell us how we can purchase